well, efficiency dictates that you're going to treat a securities case differently than you're going to treat a pleading case of another kind. And I don't know if I'm become a dinosaur of sorts as well, because I like the federal rules the way they were, and think, well, who is going to profit from a proliferation of forms? Not the clients, I'm sure.
But then you go ahead and think of bankruptcy court.
Mm-hmm.
It's true everything you say there, but can it be handled any other way so far as
That's their argument.
Court efficiency?
Mm-hmm. That's their argument.
Our
back.
federal judges can't handle it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or anybody else.
Right, and then it gets cracked off, and then you have to be a specialist in that. It's nice for the lawyers who do it. I think they like it.
Oh, they love it.
Mm-hmm.
Little Rothschild, it's his whole life.
Is it?
And
Is that
he's
what-
good.
Uh-huh.
He does all my bankruptcy work.
Yeah,
He's
but
the tops around here.
friends from law school who went into it, and I think liked it a great deal. It's like a mini world
Mhm.
with its own rules, and
That's right.
profitable and interesting, actually.
But can you turn out students that can become general practitioners? And when I started, Tucson was so small we couldn't specialize. We're big enough now to have a lot of specialists. But the more they specialize, the less they become a lawyer.
Yes, and yet it seems that specialization and migration to those different endpoints is not within our control. And to the extent that that's true of how they end up, where the students are going, it undermines our capacity to teach them what it is they're going to need to know when they get out, because we can't predict what that is. It works against the practical instruction, and because it's no longer one or even a couple of things you'd want to teach them that that they would need, and that's somewhat of an exaggeration, but not entirely. But it makes it harder than it used to be to have practical education that will be useful for each student, and very few of them, when they start with us, actually know what they want to do when they get out. They don't have a rich sense of what a lawyer does, or what kind of lawyer they want to be, or whether they get a lot of them get their notions about it from TV, which has nothing to do with what it's really like to be a lawyer in most cases.
Yeah, but the first thing, how can I make a living?
Mm-hmm.
When I started out, it would take at least 5 years before you could support yourself, far less a wife.
Yeah, yeah.
We had, I think, in my class, 2 that were married. Nowadays, as far as I'm concerned, it's very common to have a wife and kids.
And big loans.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And that causes problems.
Yes, it does.
I
Yes,
told
it
you I
does.
bought a second-hand desk. Now they want $50,000 worth of equipment and everything else in them.
Yeah. Yep.
And they don't have the money. They don't, if they're on their own, they can't make it. And the first thing you know, they're in somebody else's till.
Yep.
No other way to answer their problems.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it is, well, that's one component, and the search for the almighty dollar is also maybe that there's an abundance of lawyers, and so in order to get by, one has to compete, and the only way you can compete, especially if you're not from a known background, is to advertise. And so how else is the marginal person
Well,
going to make a living?
Well, when I was going through that period of time, we had a procedure. I joined a church and do church work.
Mm-hmm.
I joined a political party. I joined the YMCA, get on their board and do those work. That's the way we advertise. We had to advertise ourselves by getting out and working in the community. That isn't done anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No, advertising is taking that place. I don't know how effective it is. I haven't talked to these new attorneys next door right now. Strictly personal injury. They've made a living. I don't know what percentage of the personal educations they've been able to get or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a whale of a lot of Mercedes parked out on this side of a parking area.
I didn't
I-
think that one was yours.
I-
It just didn't look like you somehow.
I have a second-hand Datsun.
Oh, boy.
That was originally Jim Click's own personal car at the time he bought the Datsun agency. It had 27,000 miles on it. I have well over 100,000 miles on it. It breaks my heart I can't drive it. So it's parked in my garage. I'm going to give it to my grandson if he ever gets to 16. He's 15 now.
So, so what's your advice to me, Ashby?
Experiment. It's the only thing I can say to you. Try some of these things. Don't try everything. Don't do it all at once. You've got to have a basic core of education. As I say, if the individual professors could give skipping your clinic situation. Well, can I ask a question? How do I, as a student, decide what clinics to take? Or can I take a little of each of one to learn?
No, you gotta pick because it's a big commitment for that semester. Yeah. Word of mouth, and they do.
Or can I have a different one each semester?
Nope, we don't have enough for them to take a lot of them in a row. There's a line.
Yeah. So basically, a clinic in today's day means you already decided with your field which you want to work.
Yeah. Or.
And then they get out and they find that particular field isn't there for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's a field that doesn't generate enough money for them. How are you going to get a lot of money out of the major portion of this immigration problem we have around here?
Mm-hmm. It's a small clinic.
Mm-hmm. I represented a doctor, an MD, who got out of Germany just before Hitler and moved to Italy. They got out of Italy just before Mussolini. Settled in New York, then for health reasons they came out here. I had to get him qualified. He had to take the medical bar, medical bar. Moved from pillar to post to try to find a place where he could be safe. His wife is one of the names of my foundation. In my practice, I've got to say that the finest thing that ever happened to me is the faith that 17 of my clients put in me when they gave me everything they had when they died to set up private foundations. I've always said I practice people. My partner Cliff Bloom practiced law. And I believe that's true. And I think my clients recognize a difference in my practice. I was and am only a small country lawyer. I'm not big, I didn't represent the big companies or anything else. But I sure represented a lot of people.
Leads me to my last question. What is the secret to a happy life, in your opinion?
Have interesting things to do and be a part of. There is so much monotony in our life. There's monotony, well, the biggest danger of a marriage is the monopoly. Do the same things the same time, the same way, year after year. And they finally break. I've told a lot of wives that they had the major portion of the problem. Be a different woman. He doesn't want the same woman all the time. Anything to break the monotony. Don't plan all your vacations. Do it spontaneous. We're taking off. So whatever you can do to create change in your life is probably one of the most important things I think you can do.
Turn it off.
Screw
Great. He's right.
It was really wonderful.
It was.
Oh.
never admit in what this school has accomplished.
It doesn't have a history.
I don't know whether we're going to be able to keep it up.